Instead, they say, how do I get my teacher fired? How do I go after him? And NYU, instead of saying, let's strive towards excellence, says, no, let's fire the professor who's a big old meanie.
It's basically the students and the university teaming up against the professor. The university does it to A, look more woke and ESG, but they also do it because they want their numbers to look good. If more people graduate, if more people pass that class, it looks like a great institution, more money comes in for tuition. The professor just wants somebody to be well educated, and he or she is shown the door. So we're literally going to have an entire generation of people who don't know anything who've got a diploma. And it doesn't make any sense to me because at some point, something has to give. I literally will spend money to learn. I will not spend money to make you look like you taught me and go out and try to get a job and end up, digging ditches. It doesn't make any sense. But this person, that's it. Out of a job. Have a nice day.
Right. And not to mention, it devalues the value of that degree. Not that these
Yes.
degrees were that valuable, but let's just say pre-woke all of this, these degrees were supposed to be so, hey, this helps you get a certain job. Maybe you're more qualified to use this chemistry major or something. But the reality is, if these places know, hey, you're not actually learning anything. All you really learned was how to, get your professor fired. You didn't
Right.
actually learn the subject, and the degree is meaningless. So why are you taking out student loans? Why are your, parents having to sacrifice their livelihood for you to do this when in fact you're not actually going to be successful in life because of this? So I think that this
Yeah.
generation is going to be very, very upset when they graduate.
And then they get into the workplace and they're going to suck on the job. They can't get their boss fired, and then they're going to complain to Biden, "Hey, you've got to give me student loan relief. I can't pay it because I'm only making 20 grand a year." I mean, it's a vicious cycle, and at the end of it, it's all about power and control in central government, and these people are all going to be reliant on central government. It's Danielle D'Souza Gill. Go and get her book. It's called The Choice. She's an author, a commentator. AmericanaByDanielle.com is her website. Go check out the great clothing there. Okay, so you're young and happening. Much younger than I. When you see Joe Biden flub and fluster himself through every single day, everything he says, I have to know what jumps in your head. And very specifically, he just said, yesterday in Puerto Rico, that he basically grew up in Puerto Rico. Which, no, he didn't. I don't even know there are any Puerto Rican people in Delaware. Then he tried to claim there was a big Puerto Rican community that he was in the middle of. Danielle, when you see something like that, what goes through your head?
I think a lot of the time we focus on Biden's, declining health, his mental state. We say, how dumb he is and so on. But I think that he has a lot of power and the left is using him. The left is using him to harm Americans every single day. And we are going to suffer even longer if we don't win in the midterms, win again in 2024. And so I think that what jumps out to me is the fact that Joe Biden is evil. The fact that he is literally able to get away with saying things like this, which no other politician would be able to get away with. The kind of buffoonery that he does.
No way.
The fact that literally when he looks at a teleprompter, he can't read it. The fact that he cannot form thoughts doesn't just tell me that he has declining health. It tells me that we're in a country where the left is literally willing to cover for someone like this, is literally willing to put our country on the line just because they want to have their guy in office when their guy is literally harming everyone. So I think young people would see right through this and see, no, you have nothing to do with Puerto Ricans. And so how can we possibly vote for this person?
How dare you sully the name of Puerto Rican Joe Biden? Well, while that's going on, and you're right, he's evil. He's a bad guy. He's been a bad guy his entire life. He's disgusting, as a matter of fact. We could talk for 3 hours about that. But while he's saying the Puerto Rican thing, like the useful idiot, you've got Kamala Harris, the vice president, the second most powerful person on the planet, talking about how we have to be equitable in how we have to give hurricane relief. Come on, fill me in on this. It was nuts.
Right. And, I think you would think, hey, if Joe's going to have these mental issues, at least he'd pick a vice president who has some more coherent thoughts. But her thoughts are actually rarely coherent, too.
Yeah.
So the fact that we're saying it's about equity, that's from us really reading into this because her thoughts rarely go together. But I think when she's talking about, equity, equality, all these things, as conservatives, we think of equal opportunity. We think, okay, we want school choice. We want people to start out in a place where they can actually get somewhere, not based on the zip code they're born in, but based on opportunity. But they're not talking about that. They're talking about equity, which is really changing the outcomes at the end. And what are they basing that off of? Things like race, things that, as we talked about, you cannot change. And so it really has nothing to do with your opportunity or any of that. It has to do with the fact that even if you're Kamala Harris or Barack Obama or their children, Sasha and Malia Obama, they want to give them extra privileges just because they're Black, and have another student who's white, someone who's, maybe working as a welder, not have the kind of opportunities they have, and pay off other
Right.
people's student loans, for example. That's just an example. But I think that it shows that this idea of equity, it doesn't actually help people, and it's not about most of the people in America who are struggling right now.
Very, very well said. As you already know, and I'll tell this to the audience, equity doesn't really mean equity the way they're using it. It means socialism. Equity means no meritocracy. Equity means no equal opportunity. It just means equality of outcome, as you said, and equality of outcome is socialism. Danielle, thanks a million for coming on. Get her book. It's called The Choice. Go to AmericanaByDanielle.com. Check out her clothing line.